In this video, we're going to give you a walkthrough of the menu system of the AG CX350 camera. It's different from the prior Panasonic handhelds, probably most similar to the EVA1 or the EVA1 if you're used to that camera. If not, and you're used to other Panasonic handhelds, you'll see that things are arranged a little bit differently, but there's still a lot of very familiar menu controls in there. So, first menu up, the camera menu. Camera menu is broken into 3 submenus, and this is one of the examples of how this camera's menu system is different. Panasonic's priorly didn't really use submenus, but in this one, they certainly do. So the first submenu in there, SW mode. What? SW mode, short for switch mode. Basically, all the switches and buttons on the camera, this is how you control what they do. So whether it's the white balance switch or the zebras or whatever the feature is, this is where you go in and tell it, enable the optical image stabilizer or turn on the hybrid optical image stabilizer. There's a lot of power in here, a lot of menu entries, so SW mode you have to know. The second submenu is for the auto switch, which is down here. When you slide the switch from manual to automatic, the camera will put certain functions into automatic control. Which ones? The ones that you decide here in this menu. And the third submenu, user SW. So that's like an extension of switch mode, except it only applies to the user buttons. We have 7 physical user buttons and 5 virtual user buttons that show up on the LCD. So 12 functions in total that you can program, change, and manipulate what functions you want to have happen when you press any of those buttons. The user buttons have a tremendous amount of power, a lot of things you can do with them, too much to go into in this video. We're going to do a separate video that discusses specifically user switch functions. Next menu up is the scene file menu. This is for image controls. This is for painting the image the way that you want it to look. This is where you change the color matrix, or you add or reduce color saturation. You can change the phase, you can boost the gamma, you can stretch the blacks or lower the blacks, you can adjust the knee, the white clip. Everything that you want to do with the image is all done in the scene file menu. We're going to do a separate video on color manipulation and painting with the camera. Too much to go into in this overview, so check out the other videos on this channel. The audio menu, this is of course where you can control the inputs and select whether you're using the internal microphone or the XLRs and set the sensitivity and the gain, the phantom power, everything that you want to manipulate with audio. Next up, the video out LCD VF menu. Long name for this and a lot of menu options. You have basically 5 outputs on this camera. You've got the LCD, you got the viewfinder, you got the SDI, you got the HDMI over here, and you even have the AV out jack. And you can use 4 of those simultaneously. You can have the LCD and the viewfinder and the SDI and the HDMI all outputting an image, and you can decide what goes onto those outputs. For example, you could have a lot of information overlaid on the LCD, and you could send all that information out on the SDI, except for the waveform monitor, I think, but pretty much everything else that can go out. And then the HDMI could be a clean feed, or the HDMI can have all those same indicators. You can set the viewfinder to black and white and have the LCD operating in color. You can get in here and really configure this menu any way you want. There's a lot of menu items in there. Look at the book that I wrote, the Guide to the CX350 Camcorder, and that will explain all the options that are in there. The recording menu. This is for options related to how the camera records. This is for things like, do you want to use the pre-recording? Do you want to use the interval recording? This is for establishing what the clip's name is going to be, or how you want to configure the time code, or if you want to be syncing time code externally or sending time code to another camera. That's all in the recording menu. Next up is the network menu. And there's a lot in this menu because there's a lot of networking capability. You can connect through the Ethernet port, you can use IPv4 or IPv6, you can connect to an NDI HX system. If you have the Wi-Fi adapter, you can connect through Wi-Fi, or you can connect to the remote control app. All of those settings are configured here in this menu. We're going to do another video for a quick start guide to show you how to get connected to the app or to an NDI HX network. So that will simplify things for you. System menu sets the system frequency. This is a world camera. It can operate in 50 Hertz mode or 59.94 Hertz. It can do 24p, 25p, 30p, 50p, 60p, 50i, 60i, does all that. You configure that here. Second of all, it has two different ways to record files. You can record in the AVC HD format, or you can record in the QuickTime movie format. And the AVC HD it's good for really long recordings at very small file sizes. But the MOV format is best for the highest quality footage. If you want to record in ultra high definition, that can only be done in MOV. If you want to record variable frame rates, that can only be done in the MOV format. If you want the 422 and the 10-bit, that can only be done in the MOV. So you choose the file format here, and then you choose your rec format. Your rec format, if you're in AVC HD, you have the familiar choices of PH mode or PS mode or PM mode if you're doing coaching, sports analysis. If you're in the QuickTime movie mode, then you can choose 1080p, 1080i, and 2160p, which is ultra high def, or also called 4K. You have the choice of H.264 or HEVC. HEVC is the newest codec, H.265. It's a more powerful, more efficient codec, and is more compatible with devices out there. Like if you want to be able to create a video that you can just put on a thumb drive and plug into a smart TV or something, HEVC with H-Log. H-Log is the hybrid log gamma. That's a way to get easy playback of very high resolution and high dynamic range footage. It also has the shooting mode, which lets you choose between normal sensitivity and high sensitivity. The high sensitivity boosts up the gain, but also increases noise reduction, so it removes the grain that you would otherwise see. So it's kind of a free doubling of sensitivity. So if in low light scenarios, that high sense can come in very handy. Last up is the Others menu. This is for functions that didn't fit anywhere else, so they put it in this Others place. And this is where you do execute a reset, you initialize the menus, this is where you set the clock, this is where you configure the color bars, and you can save your setup files onto an SD card or load them in. Actually, that's really cool, because if you're using a camera or a number of cameras in an environment, let's say it's like a newsroom or a school, and students are checking out cameras on the morning and returning them at night, and you don't necessarily know which camera you're going to get, you can save all your preferred setups onto an SD card, load it in when you get the camera, and it will automatically be reconfigured exactly the way you want, you know, where you like your zebras to be set and how you want your user buttons set up and all that kind of stuff. You can save that to an SD card here in the Others menu. So that's very neat. And that completes our menu tour of the CX350. A lot of menus, a lot of submenus, a lot of power, a lot of choices. It's easy to get overwhelmed, but there's more resources out there for you. You can download a free book that I wrote. It's over 200 pages on this camera, on all its options, on what the best settings are for certain scenarios, when you want to use a certain function, when you don't want to use that certain function. Available to you free. You can download it off of Panasonic's website. I recommend that you get it, and that will explain in detail how to get the best from this camcorder. Stay tuned to this channel and check out the other videos that we've posted for more information on how to use your CX350.
Panasonic,